The following is a reading of the Eulogy of Charissa Kolich as it was originally delivered on March 17th, 2012. Hello, fellow Chazaholics. My name is Mary. Mary B, as Chazzy would say. And I'm here to say a few words on behalf of this ocean of beautiful people gathered here tonight, lucky enough to call Charissa Kolich a friend. And there are a lot of us. And we're not exactly a subtle bunch, are we? I think wherever Charissa is keeping an eye on us from tonight, one thing's for sure, she can't miss us. In fact, I was at the shop yesterday buying these bright yellow pants. Now, swirls, please don't be alarmed. It's not that I don't have any gaudy pants of my own. Obs. It's just that I didn't bring the full Valspar spectrum with me from my home in Switzerland when I quickly packed for a last-minute flight here to San Diego on Monday. I was in a rush, throwing arbitrary clothes into my suitcase, and while unique, Chazzy-inspired, vibrant fashion ensembles were encouraged for tonight, I thought Swiss lederhosen would be pushing it just a scotch. Although, as I say this out loud, I can practically hear Chazzy saying something like, "Buddy, the shorts with the suspenders? Are you kidding me? You could totally get away with those tonight." So there I was at the mall buying these yellow pants, and the guy checking me out held them in his hand and he said, "Wow, I don't know if I could pull these off. Mustard yellow, maybe, but not bright school bus yellow. I mean, it would have to be a really special occasion." And I said, "It is." And he said, "Girl, what's going on this weekend?" And I said, "Well, actually, these pants are for a funeral." And at this, he was a little taken aback. After a pause, he lowered his voice and he said with sincerity, "Wow, must be a really awesome person if you wear this to their funeral." And I nodded and said, "Yeah, she is." And he shifted his weight and his voice picked up its sparkle again and he said, "So she was a total blast, and I'll bet she wants her friends and family to have a total blast celebrating her life. So do it, girl. Celebrate her brightly." And with that, he tore the receipt tape from the register and passed me a shopping bag glowing with my incandescent yellow pants. And I walked out of the Gap feeling strangely assuaged. Is that what they mean by retail therapy? I thought. It was as if he could feel Chazzy's moxie. It's as if Chazzy's essence is, present tense, like one of those sensor tags that sounds when anyone she is connected to walks through a doorway. Chazzy was truly magnetically charged. She could take the chill from this great big room full of grief right now, with only the love in her heart. In fact, I think she's already managed to do that. Can you feel it? Just this morning at the small church service, Chazzy's Aunt Rosie spoke so eloquently about Charissa's shining bright light. A flame that burned bright even throughout the 2 years that Charissa Kolich wrestled with inoperable brain cancer. Aunt Rosie called attention to Charissa's impermeable and uninterrupted smile, her unflappable gladness, and her profound ability to console us. It didn't even make sense, but somehow Charissa would cheer us up in the 700 days that followed her diagnosis. A diagnosis that dictated a fate so incomprehensible that all of us should sit here tonight still struggling to wrap our brains around what just happened. Our perfectly healthy, unfairly tumorless brains. We feel sadness, we're sure of that. In some moments, I'm sad as dirt. In those dark, heavy moments when I'm starting to cry or break down completely, I know that if Charissa were standing next to me, she'd be the first to smack me upside the head with one of those big mitts of hers and say, "Come on, buddy," or "I love you, buddy," or "It's okay, buddy, I'm right here." Chazzy made it all okay. She made each of our lives way better than okay. She took the mediocrity out of life's pedestrian moments and reminded us that they are all brilliant and incalculable. Towards the end of her life, Charissa was taking a photography class where she learned how to adjust the brightness and saturation of photos, like the remarkable shots you see framed on the tables around the room tonight. This graphic rendering was not just Kodachrome coincidence. Charissa personified this process. Just as she saturated the photos she shot and developed, she herself augmented the intensity and colorful wonder of each moment we were lucky enough to spend with her. Look at your snapshots you have with Charissa, the ones we'll smile upon now forever. I dare you to tell me she's not glowing in every single shot. As Aunt Rosie said to me after the service at St. Didacus Church this morning, Chazzy would be telling us to put the fun in this funeral. So first to Mr. and Mrs. Steve and Nina Kolich, we thank you from the bottom of our big red hearts for sharing the gift of your beautiful daughter with us. We had so much fun with her. And to the rest of Charissa's family, her brother Jeff, grandma, aunts, uncles, cousins, and beyond, please know that we are so full of love for you today and every day. Your Chazzy embodied such an authentic exuberance. Hers was an electric and extraordinary spirit. Chazzy's enthusiasm was real. You could hold on to it. It got stuck in your teeth. And if she was here, she would tell you if you had something stuck in there too. And that's a good friend who will tell you you've got something stuck in your teeth, not just let you sit there all night. Nope, Chazzy would tell you, and that was just one of the reasons why I loved her. Charissa possessed authentic enthusiasm. Turns out, the word enthusiasm comes from Latin meaning in theos, or in God. We sit here tonight, a veritable kaleidoscope not just of technicolored pants, but also an array of different God faiths. Personally, I believe that God is not something to be snatched up from outside or from above. I believe God is that very thing which can be folded from a belief within you and within me. And no doubt that thing was exploding inside Charissa at breakneck pace, even faster than those detestable, multiplying cancer cells. In spite of every single one of them, Chazzy's good unfurled hard and fast. All the great spiritual teachers, Jesus, Moses, Buddha, Jimmy Buffett, have alluded to the God within each of us, within everyone. They spoke of the divine light we as human beings all carry in our soul. Because after all, even though anyone who ever saw Charissa Evonne Kolich on a dance floor knows, our sister certainly had soul. But in fact, we don't have a soul, we are a soul, and we have a body. So, we trust that as light and unconditional love is in heaven, even so is it right here always with us and within us. Just like Chazzy's soul will always be with us and within us now and forever. I've heard God described as the highest, most illuminated, and perfect part of a person. I think that part took up Chazzy's entire 6-foot frame. I know it was definitely shining out of those long, bony toes of hers. The truth is, it was brimming over, out, and all around her. That divine light and goodness, or godness of Chazzy, could be seen shining in her eyes. It was heard in her honest laughter, felt in her giant smile, echoed in her heart, and learned in her love. That goodness was certainly central in her love for Cortney, the love of her life, and in her love for her friends and all of us gathered here in celebration tonight. In these days now, as we think of Chazzy seeking the divine light, I say she is that which she is seeking. She always was, and always will be. To get something you are seeking, anything, whatever it is you want, you must first give openly. You must make room to receive. And you can only give away that which you already have. So in these intense moments when Charissa continues to give us all life and vitality, we know that she must have it. Still, she must right this second, right now. Chazzy loved without fear of loss, even when loss was staring her in the face. toe to long bony toe. The more life she gave to us, the more life continued to rush through her. She accomplished all that she was put on this earth to do, and all that she is to be, and to love, and to create, and to teach us. She made perfect use of her divine gift, and shared it most generously to bring all of us smiling, huddled around her. Every Christmas, Chazzy, in fact, gathered the group of us boys and swirls together at her apartment for the infamous white elephant or dirty Santa grab bag party. The kind of party where everyone brings a gift and you trade and swap and swipe the best gifts from each other until they're all gone. Let me tell you, these cheerful Christmas swaps got real serious real fast. Mostly because most times people, and I won't name any names, Cortney, Kelly, Banda, Katie, Allie, Julia, Rick, Andrew, would re-gift something from a year gone by. For example, you could unwrap a present this year and see that it was the Snuggie someone had contributed back in '08. And just as a blanket with sleeves is just too good and delightful to keep to yourself, so the light of Charissa is joyous in merrymaking and woven of laughable glee. Now, don't misunderstand me. My pal Charissa is, of course, way better than a fleece blanket with sleeves. My point is, we have to re-gift her. Back to the allness of God, the entire good. Which, may I add, finally answers the question, what to give the person on our list who has everything. Charissa was given to us as a gift, and now with nothing but gratitude for the time we spent with her wrapped around us, we must give her back to the light from which she came. There are so many ideas and questions about that light to which we come and go that it's difficult for me to try to express this mystery in a way we can all understand, let alone agree on. But I hope that maybe we can find common ground in a basic lesson we all learned in high school. Once upon a time, someone stood in front of us at a chalkboard and said, energy cannot be created or destroyed. And we, as citizens of the world, accepted that as an inherent truth. But that truth then begs the question today, where does all of Chazzy's energy go? Not long after Chazzy was first diagnosed, she called me up on a Sunday morning and said, hey buddy, I want to come to church with you today. And I said, okay Chaz, 10 o'clock. And she said, great, I'll pick you up. Cortney was out of town this weekend, and Chazzy's condition was just starting to set in. Her memory was just starting to falter, and I remember thinking that I wasn't sure if Charissa was allowed to drive. In fact, I'm still not sure if I was supposed to let her drive that day. But Chazzy loved to drive, and we each just lived around the corner from the church, 2 miles max, and it was a beautiful day, and she loved to drive that Jeep in the sun. Come to think of it, maybe it was her love for driving that Jeep that so moved her to the altar that Sunday morning. But I'm pretty sure it was something more than that. Anyway, she picked me up. We went to church, and we rocked up the aisle and tucked into a pew right in the middle of all the people. And the parishioners looked at her, and her shaved head, and the seam of stitches as she knelt and prayed. But she just knelt there and prayed, and I knelt there and prayed beside her. And as I was there next to her, I wondered what she might be saying. I imagined Chazzy with her matter-of-fact and easygoing drawl, leveling permissively with God. Well, God, I didn't see this coming, she might have said. When the service had ended, we got back in her Jeep and we headed home. And as Chaz drove, she said, I feel good, buddy, I needed that. That felt really good. And she kept driving, and she drove past my street, and then she drove past hers. And I just sat there, and we just kept driving. And driving. And I didn't really think anything of it until we got all the way down Washington Avenue, and I just finally had to ask, so, buddy, where are you going? And she let off the gas a little bit and looked at me and smiled one of those giant Charissa smiles and laughed a little bit and said, buddy, I have no idea. And we had a good laugh together then, the kind that feels almost strangely like a good cry. But nevertheless, just a little later, she was dropping me off, just as well, at my apartment. I remember being more than a little apprehensive as I closed the Jeep door and leaned over and waved goodbye to her. But I know that eventually she found her way home too. Right now, I can't help but think that Sunday months ago was just a lesson we had to learn for today. I don't know where Charissa is going exactly, and maybe when she left us, she didn't really know either. Maybe she had no idea. We're all a little fearful and apprehensive as we say goodbye, but I know that she will find her way home, with a smile too, like always. So, in the peace of knowing that Charissa has made her way home safe and sound, let us quiet our minds for a moment. May we become aware of the beating hearts in our chest, take notice of the beauty and connection we share here tonight, suffused with Charissa's energy that we're each so blessed to absorb. We give thanks for the gift that has been given to us, which allows us to stand in joy even tonight because we are entrusted with the beautiful spirit of Charissa Kolich. With each breath, we're able to feel our connection to each other through Charissa and through her essence, which no doubt lives on vibrantly even still. She rounded us up here together tonight with a great big lasso of love. She is the unifying spirit of joy and gratitude. She is the fiber that connects each and every one of us to something bigger than ourselves. She is the love that has created this field of conductivity. This field of love, so much love, it makes our hair stand on end. We gather in a oneness, in appreciation for her life and for life in general. Charissa's life has managed to make each one of us more cognizant and appreciative of this next breath, right here, this breath that we are all so fortunate to be about to take. A simple breath that's been given to us miraculously and magically. So we breathe her in, and she fills up our lungs with this mysterious thing you can feel in your chest. This feeling that so many people wander in search of their whole lives, trying to find and experience for themselves. We know this now, this happiness and this fullness of life. This thing that she fills us with is her divine light. And it deploys in us the best, highest, most illuminated, and perfect part of our being. There's a story in the Bible about Jesus moving through a crowd of people, and everyone was trying to get next to him, to touch him, to talk to him, to have a word with him. Anyone who has ever walked down University Avenue with Charissa Kolich knows what this is like. She is a magnet. All through her life, people seem to be drawn to Chazzy like cold hands to a campfire. So as the biblical story goes, there was this woman who had been sick for years and years, 12 years. And she was one of the many in that bustling crowd around Jesus one sunny afternoon. And she said, I know that if I could just get close enough to touch his shirt, I would be healed. And so the woman weaseled her way through the crowd of people. Side note, has anyone ever been to a concert with Charissa? I imagine the way she could deftly move through an entire grip of people at Cricket Amphitheater was not unlike the way this woman in the story weaved her way through the crowd of Galilee. Anyway, the woman eventually became close enough to touch Jesus. And when she did, Jesus stopped and said, "Someone touched me. Who touched me?" And his friends, the disciples, were like, "Are you crazy? Someone touched you? What do you mean? This place is swarming. Everybody's touching everybody." And Jesus said, "Someone touched me. I felt the essence go out of me." And the woman who stood there nearby now said, "I touched you because I knew if I did, I would be made whole." And Jesus said to her, "Your faith has made you whole." Similarly, it is a faith in Charissa and the meaning of her extraordinary life that makes all who touched her whole. It is Charissa's undying goodness and her interminable joy that heals all of us. And by heals us, I mean not only does she console our sadness, but our brush with her life also stands to heal our human hearts of its hardened and shadowy parts. To remedy those dark parts of the heart is truly what heals a life. Because we've touched Chazzy's essence, we now think twice about petty dissatisfactions with life. Because of our faith in Chazzy's goodness, we reconsider our resentment and cynicism and quit finding faults with life. By knowing Chazzy's story, we've been healed of apathy and ingratitude for every moment of this miracle. Chazzy has helped bring light to those parts of our heart, and this faith in her exemplified life makes us whole. All of this fullness and life-giving inspiration, all that is Charissa's divine essence, is her gift to us in the grab bag this year. Christmas comes early, so may we keep her at hand, her spirit in the pocket of our ugly pants, and in every chamber of our hearts forevermore.